Welcome to Hits and Misses. I'm Toomey. This is my best friend Eric. What's up, Eric?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Struggling in some, doing great in others. Week 7 NFL was very chaotic, very crazy early window, rather boring second window, to be honest. But we're talking here, guys. So when you come here, we talk about the hits and the misses of the day. What are the biggest fantasy hits? What are the biggest fantasy misses? We talk about injuries too. I'm including injuries and misses today because there's some big ones that really bone people. Hit or miss. I'm gonna start us off. I think it's only right. You see this thing over my shoulder right here. I gotta just pull my man up. Where you at? Where you at? I ain't calling you my man no more.
You're a very accurate quarterback.
Joe, bro, like what is going on here? Bro. This shit was getting comical at one point. I was like, my boy has like one pass, like one catch right now, nearing the halftime. And it's just, this was the day, and I think I may have been finally broken from the Anthony Richardson stuff. Like, Anthony Richardson's going to have some good fantasy days. No duh. We all get that. And make sure if you guys are hopping in here, make sure that like this video. Let me know what you think about it in the chat. Let me know your biggest hit or miss. Put it in the live chat, okay? Because we're going to respond to those as we talk. Anthony Richardson played like dog shit. I actually was debating this, and my wife had to talk me down. So I have a little toddler, and she was wearing her Colt stuff. And sometimes we're kind of at the point where she's doing like some of the potty training stuff, right? And so she's really interested in like just taking off her pants if she like messes herself up. And then she'll just come to the top of the stairs like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's going on now? So we got a little poop situation. She got poop all over the Colt shirt. And I was debating if I should bring that shit covered Colt shirt here to say, this is what I think of Anthony Richardson's play. but that's why I'm married, because my wife talked me down from that. But I cannot believe how terrible he played. And this is one of the things. This is where I think the homer in me like keeps really wanting to see better from Anthony Richardson. And as a Colts fan, I really want to see more from him. But he's very much told us who he is. He's a terrible quarterback. Like the Colts team, honestly, should bench him. That was not NFL level play that I saw today. And like, everything was so hard and so difficult. Even the simple completions were just made, let's make it as impossible as we can to just make this really simple catch happen. Like, he was terrible. That lost fumble was just, like, I heard the announcer say it was a bad snap. Ryan Kelly put it right in that boy's hands. It was right in his hands. And he just like short-armed it, alligator-armed it. Like a snap. It wasn't a pass. It was a snap from the center. At goal line in the red zone, bro, like he makes a lot of red zone mistakes. Like I cannot recommend this man to start in your fantasy team. I'm not going to recommend you cut him, but if you said you had to cut him for Drake May, I would drop him for Drake May. Like he's at that level where he is a big ass bust right now. This is crazy.
My only addition is the thing that had me laughing during the game is how if he had a first down or anything good, he would do this. Like he was cooking, and I was dying laughing. I was like, can't nobody tell this man he's not the second coming of Joe Montana right now. He thinks he is in his bag. He thinks he's putting out good footage right here. And I am just living. I'm like, yo, boy, to be that confident and not really do it. What a world. What a world.
Yo, my guy really shit the bed so strong. Oh my gosh.
Yes, he did.
Who you got, bro? Like, let's move off of him. Honestly, rest of the season, he will be in the every now and then he's gonna make it in the top 12 range, but he's gonna be at that like 20, like 17 plus range for the most weeks. If he starts, like truly, they won the game. There's a world where there's gonna be some locker room talk, especially from the receivers, like, give us Joey Flack right now. Like, we actually have, like, the team's not good, but they're one of those teams who could just sneak into the playoffs for no reason. Like, just give us a shot. And I would not be surprised if we saw Anthony Richardson get benched at some point.
I was glad you mentioned that. He does have a negative impact on all receivers for the Colts. Michael Pittman owners, Josh Downs owners, managers, that's the name I prefer, Alec Pierce, all of those guys, you saw a noticeable decline in production with him at the helm. And that is something that I think is more in line with what you're going to anticipate seeing going forward. And you probably want to go ahead and add them in a trade package. We're going to talk about players who seem to have consistency. And I think those are players that are on the coach team. If he's the leader right now, you want them in trade package. Josh Down, trade package. Michael Pittman, trade package player right now.
But I mean, you can't start these guys if Anthony Richardson's the quarterback. That's it. That's just kind of the simple, long and short of it. But if Joe Flacco's the quarterback, we're good all day. We're good all day with those guys. Here's a real quick trade offer. So I got offered. He's bragging clearly. I got offered Laporta and Cup for Bowers and Olave. It's hard for me to get rid of Bob Bowers. I'm not going to lie to you. But you're getting Cooper Kupp and Laporta. I think that's a fine upgrade. I'm fine with that.
I would agree. Olave, I don't see it coming together for him this season. One of the injuries that occurred throughout the week is the loss of Rashid Shaheed. And just going back to one of the early games of this week, the Saints look like dog water. So they look pretty darn bad. I don't see them really coming out there doing too well. They even thought that what's my man named Alvin Kamara asked for a trade and everything. Things are so bad over there in the Saints world. So you want to go ahead and reduce your investment in the Saints right now. I think that is a good trade to go ahead and remove that from your team.
100%. Let's get to a hit, though. So who do you want to start with?
We'll go to the game that just ended. My man that plays for the good old Chiefs. The second coming of Kareem Hunt. This is a game that takes you back to when the man played on the team in the first part before he had to put his foot on somebody's rear end and go ahead and do something bad for his career. So he turned it around, and he's actually falling into play right here. Yep. You see 22 points, 20 carries, 76 yards, 2 tutties, 2 catches for 5 yards. This guy just has a talent that correlates and aligns very well with what the Chiefs want to do. You could tell that they were very comfortable bringing him in. He's just literally falling into place. He's like a shape that just matches exact puzzle piece that they need. Kareem Hunt, if you're able to pick him off the waiver wire, this is one of those pickups that could it's a super major benefit. You didn't spend any draft capital for this guy, and I just see this continuing going forward. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, people were anticipating him coming into the game this potential week here, and he was declared inactive just before this game. And I wouldn't feel any kind of negative impact for him getting involved, even if going forward, because Kareem Hunt, he's just getting it done. You can see this team operates very well with him under the helm, and I just feel very confident in what he's doing. Like, this is something that you got off the literal waiver wire or for Fab, if you're in the auction Fab kind of matches right there. The guy was just extremely useful for the Chiefs. Going forward, Kareem Hunt is that guy for sure. 20 carries, you can't argue against that.
And so, because the 20 carries, we were still like, we had to make the graphics during the game, right? He ended up with 22. So if you think about it over the last 2 weeks, he's gotten 49, almost 50 carries in the last 2 games. Like, the Chiefs are telling you what they wanted to do. They have fully converted back to the old Chiefs that we saw last year, where they are run first and foremost every single time. San Francisco's defense is pretty solid, but against the run, they have been a little bit more susceptible. They've actually had like a ton of like goal line carries or running backs over the last couple of weeks, especially since Javon Hargraves got injured. So, yeah, I was telling people, like, you got to start Kareem Hunt. He was a top 12, top 13 running back for me. I took a lot of crap for that this morning. I'm glad people hopefully the people who I was talking to stuck with that commentary, because he really went crazy. But let's keep it positive. We'll keep it. So we're going to keep it positive on the other side of this break. We got to talk to you about this really cool app that we just connected with. Called, I forgot what it's called. Yeah, Smash Up Sports. This is a great professional way to go right into a promo. So we're going to talk about this app real quick, and we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Oh, it's the Podfather, and last year's fastest growing fantasy platform is back. It's Smash Up Fantasy. They've got these leagues where you redraft your team every week and you get smarter as the season progresses. Now, Smash Up also has a patented power-up card. These are actual cards that can boost your individual players or your entire team. So if you think Lamar Jackson's going to run wild all over the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 1, play the Scramble Spikes Smash Up card to turbocharge his rushing points. And that's not all. Smash Up also is introducing the world's first single-player fantasy game. Think Street Fighter meets fantasy football, where you can go toe-to-toe versus an increasingly difficult fantasy football boss and qualify for the postseason Tournament of Champions. So test your skills against me, the Podfather, and the Player Profiler team today at smashupsports.com and use code PlayerProfiler. The code is Player Profiler to get special perks like extra lineups for these weekly tournaments and so much more. And it's all free at smashupsports.com.
All right. So I just lied to you guys. I said we're gonna go positive out of the break. We have to talk about this. This is like the biggest news in fantasy. All right. So Jaden Daniels looked like he was about to have an amazing day. He looked like he was about to just light this thing up. 5.2 points, 2 completions. The big run was the big thing, but then he got injured. And so they just dominated. My bad, bro. They dominated the Panthers.
Yeah.
They dominated Panthers today. I just saw the quote from Dan Quinn after the game, so I don't have a lot of information on the update yet. It sounds like a rib injury, but I don't have an official update for you. We'll get one as soon as can't read. We'll get one as soon as possible, said Quinn. And so it looks like they're probably going to be going with the X-ray. They had an X-ray today, but they're going to do some more imaging tomorrow. Very clearly look like a rib injury. And this was the concern with Jaden Daniels. Now you take the good with the bad. You got him in the 11th round, so you can't really cry about this one. Like, I know a lot of people who took Jaden Daniels and Anthony Richardson. Today is probably the outside of the first, like, the second week of the season where you finally made the switch to Jaden. Like, this was the first time Jaden really disappointed you. But this was part of his profile. He could run. He's a really great runner. He's amazing. Like, he's not frail, but he can definitely get popped, and he's a small build. So this was always going to be the thing with Jaden Daniels. Hopefully he could bounce back. His mother said he's all right, so I don't know what that means on Twitter. Like, his mom said he's okay. He likely is dealing with some level of a rib injury, and Mariota really played well. Like, I don't think he's going to play that great. I do think that the Carolina defense, unfortunately, they're just lacking the bodies to be able to stop anyone. So it made him like kind of elevate what Mariota looked like. But I think we're in a situation where we may be missing Jaden Daniels for at least a week.
Yeah, I would agree. Unfortunately, myself, I'm one of those guys that you're talking about where a lot of quarterbacks went in my draft, and I'm one of the people who picked up Jaden Daniels in the 11th round, as you mentioned. So I was sitting pretty well for a majority of the season here, and this did burn me big time in one of my matches. But as you said, it's a risk you take. This is the game of fantasy football. I still got one player left, as we've got 3 games left here on the week on the docket still left to go. So hopefully things can turn around for him if I get a big game out of young man Marv, but we shall see. So I totally agree with everything you said. I'll go ahead and look for a replacement, possibly Mariota going forward, but I'll take a look at their schedule and see what I can do to go ahead and try to fix this real quick. So.
Yeah. I'm going to jump the line because I'm going to talk about one of those replacements that I think is a good option for you. And I know we got to talk about Saquon. We're going to talk about Saquon, Gibbs, all those players. Drake May in the London game played pretty well. Now, he played well in fantasy. He had some really terrible interceptable balls. Like, he was just throwing it in the chest of some defenders every now and then. But in fantasy, for a team who's going to be bad, this guy's going to give you some fantasy production. It was a kind of like really terrible day for quarterbacks today. So I want to see, where did he net out? He ended up being, at least so far, Drake May is a top 3 quarterback with 20 points. So like that really tells you the type of day we had. Pretty terrible. Pretty big running back day, not a big receiver day. Very terrible quarterback day. But he did the job. He's given you multiple touchdowns in multiple games so far, and they're gonna let him throw it 37 times again this week. So this is a guy who I definitely think, if he is not picked up off your waivers, you got to go snag him, because they're gonna let him chuck it, and this team's gonna be bad.
Yes, that right there is the number one thing for him. He's going to be throwing. Unfortunately, something that was going around the NFL a lot, players with random illnesses weren't playing, and DeMario Douglas was one of those who started in the first half and was like nowhere in the second half after I talked him up last week. So thanks for that. But Drake May, that aside, he does put the ball into the air a whole lot. So going forward, you should get a lot of opportunities. And you showed what he did. I mean, he's somebody that you can lean on right now, especially if you're in the Jaden Daniels camp, because he got injured this week. So I totally agree. I'll be looking to put him on my team this week for sure.
I agree. Like, so if you have Jaden Daniels, Drake May is a perfect substitute. If you have Anthony Richardson, Drake May is a perfect substitute. There's a lot of guys where Drake May is a plug-and-play player. He had 3 carries for 18 yards, which was kind of surprising because he had like a weird MRI late in the week for his knee, but he was a full participant in practice. So it was something that was kind of odd. So it was at least good to still see that he got 3 carries. I didn't really see the film to see how he got them. But that's somebody to definitely keep on your radar. And I will say, I always drop a little comment. Make sure everyone in here, if you like this type of content, please make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel, Player Profiler News. Make sure you subscribe to the Motherboard Player Profiler. We're doing this content every single day. There's literally multiple shows going on right now, but stick here. But there's like, you got to make sure that you tap in. And I always bring up like the TikTok stuff I do. So make sure you give us a follow there as well. I promise you, I was doing my TikTok live start sits. There's like thousands of people in there, right?
Yeah.
The amount, I felt like it was Demario Douglas's family in there. Like they kept saying, "Where's Demario? Why are you guys like? Why is he not in the top 24? Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Bro, it's like just relax a little bit." I just don't love the spot. I didn't love the weather. At least the weather kind of cleared up, but I just was a little lower. I was like, "Yeah, I'd rather start Lad McConkey. I'd rather start like literally all these other players over them." So, yeah, I'm glad that at least worked out. But yeah, Demario Douglas really kind of. He hurt a lot of people this week.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? This random illness mess.
His fantasy production hurt people this week.
True, so true.
Yeah, man. Where are we going next, Pank?
I guess we can go negative real quick. I'd like to talk about the Packers, the Jaden Reed, Christian Watson.
These champions here. Let me find them. I can't. Oh, don't want to see him anymore. Where are these guys? Do I have it? There those champions.
Now, I want to talk about Jaden Reed and Christian Watson because, respectfully, Jaden Reed had 3 points, 1 carry, 4 targets, 2 catches for 10 yards. Christian Watson had 2 targets, 1 catch for 9 yards, and 1 carry for -4 yards. But the other guys on the team, as you're noticing with the Packers, Jordan Love spreads the ball around. Dontavion Wicks, he had 3 of 6 for 47 yards and a touchdown. Romeo Doubs had the most yards, 95 yards, 8 catches on 10 targets. And Kraft had that incredible catch in the end zone, which bumped him up after getting 4 targets and catching 3 of them for 33 yards and a touchdown. The problem with the Packers is it's a merry-go-round. You don't know which week is going to be for that particular wide receiver. And I think for anybody in fantasy, these are more players that I want to say put them in a trade package. We mentioned Josh Downs, Pittman. If these players are on your team, put them in a trade package and try to get somebody with some more consistency. You can't really lean on any Packer receiver because Kraft did nothing last week. Christian Watson scored last week. Jaden Reed was the most consistent up until this week. But you can see they don't have any kind of, we need to make sure we get the ball in this guy's hands because we have a schedule of plays that really cater to this person's needs. They actually just use and facilitate the ball to everybody. So given that you're trying to score points consistency in fantasy football, you're literally gambling in fantasy when you have any Packers receivers. That's what I'm noticing going forward. They have probably the most competitive as far as talent all-around players in their wide receiver room, but they don't lean on anybody consistently. If anyone had a gun to their head, you'd probably say it's Jaden Reed. But look at this game right here. This really burned you, and you probably can't anticipate this happening again going forward as the team says things like they believe in Dontavion Wicks, they want to get him the ball and things of that nature. And he only came out with 6 targets himself and caught 3 of them. So my argument here is though Jaden Reed and Christian Watson didn't play that well in this game, they might have enough name value right now for you to put them in a trade package and try to trade for someone that has more consistency going forward, like some of these hits that we're going to talk about later in the show. That's my take on what I saw this week for sure.
Yeah. It's like Jaden Reed for sure. You can get something for him. You're not going to get anything for Christian Watson. Like Christian Watson is going to be on and off like team rosters, right? But Jaden Reed, I mean, trying to trade him now would be kind of wild, but wait till he has a good week, try to trade him. This was a player where I always ranked him decently highly, but I always gave the caveat, and it felt cheap whenever I do my rankings, but I would always say, like, he would produce all this on so small opportunities. Like, he would get 4 targets and just give you, like, one of them would be an 80-yard touchdown catch. You know what I mean? Like, he would give you big plays on really limited opportunities, and that's the worst thing you could have. And so, to me, he's a good player. He's still going to be a pretty good, like, explosive player. So, he's going to do well probably within the next couple of weeks. That is where you trade Jaden Reed if you want to do that. Because, like you said, unless you're in the business like me, who's looking at different types of defensive coverages to see like which type of receiver is going to do best versus this one, because in this game, this was more of the outside receiver style of a game. Like I was just surprised that Wicks was even playing, honestly, because the way he went out last week. But even early in last week, before he got injured, he ran like only a few routes, but got targeted 3 times real fast. They like Dontavion Wicks, bro.
They do.
Romeo Doubs, he is the most consistent target. If he's all there, he's the most consistent target for Jordan Love. He may not do anything with it, but he is likely going to lead this team in targets most weeks. But Jaden Reed just gives you that explosion. Christian Watson's a complete wild card. So like you said, the second you get a great game from any of these guys, I would try to flip them, or at least, like you said, throw them in a package and try to get a different name too. That's more consistent. For sure.
Considering where we are in the fantasy league schedule right now, it's time to go ahead and try to aim for some consistency on your team.
Hell yeah, man. But let's talk about man that has been super uber duper consistent, and I don't have his thing pulled up. I'm gonna just talk about him. I don't have his stats up, but he went crazy. My man Saquon Barkley went nuts. He really does not bang with the Giants. I don't care what he said. He's trying to be political. I was like, I don't care what you say, bro. You do not like them. You took that personally. It's all good. He went for 17 carries, 176 yards, a touchdown, 2 or 3 receptions for 11 yards. Like, this boy was not playing with them. You could even see on those tush pushes, he was not playing around, bro. It felt like he damn near picked up Jalen Hurts and was just pushing him into the end zone himself. Like, Saquon Barkley let it ring off today. He was my number 1 ranked running back on the week. That worked out great. He dominated. He dominated those boys, and they should feel the sting of that. That was a dumbass move they made.
True. The psychological edge was absolutely there. I think even before the season started, I was telling guys at work, if I don't have Saquon Barkley, there is a few weeks that I certainly wouldn't want to be the opponent playing against him. Any week he playing the Giants, that's one down. You don't want to play him on the second one either. I'm going to just put that out there today. The same thing might happen. Mm-hmm. He might do him even worse. Just saying.
Especially because the second one's going to be in Philly. This one was in New York. God. You know what I mean? So, like, they playing, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
That man gonna sleep well the night before that one. He wants to eat on that day.
Oh yes. He's just gonna fly Eagles fly all over, do the touchdown thing. In the end zone. You go crazy, bro. Oh man. All right. So where do you want to go next? You want to go positive, negative? What do you want to do?
I'll go positive with a top flight running back who got the opportunity today in Bijan.
Let's go.
Bijan, 23 points, 21 carries, 103 yards, touchdown, 3 of 5 receptions for 40 yards. Bijan shows you today why he is a top-tier talent, and he went in the first round in pretty much all drafts. He has what you think of when you think of a scat back speed, the strength, the balance. He's a great all-around back. The man has soft hands to catch, and he can put the yards down when he's running the ball. His team lost. I'll go ahead and say that. But even still, you could see why what people were expecting, why he was underutilized last year. This was a Bijan Robinson that people anticipate every single week. And if he gets this kind of opportunity, I'm very confident that he can go ahead and do this against any team. The way that he can break tackles and set people up just to go ahead and get around him and create space for himself, you see that talent when you watch Bijan. There isn't anybody who's a fan of football looks at him and says, man, he ain't that. I mean, I ain't that entertained to watch him play. Bijan is a monster. Like, he's fantastic at the job. And I think going forward, if he's on your team, you're very, very happy you can. If anybody's offering you Bijan for a trade that's relatively respectful, I don't anticipate that happening. But if you're that blessed because you play in a taco league, by all means. By all means.
By all means. It's interesting, man. And I'm probably gonna sound like a Bijan hater. I was impressed with him today. Very impressed, right? Yeah. This was a great matchup too. Like, I even say, like, the Seattle Seahawks, they've been awful on the ground, but I will say their front seven got a little healthier. So that's why to me it was more impressive, because the front seven was healthier than it typically is. The back seven were actually super beat up. That's why I thought it was going to be a great day for Kirk Cousins. Definitely wasn't. And also Algier, he didn't do that much. He got, I think he gave you like 5 points in PPR, but nothing crazy. This was a great game for Bijan. But what I just mentioned is the concern that I'm always going to have with him, unless, I mean, you knock away. You don't want the other dude to get injured, but Algier is just never going to go away. There's always going to be a game that we can't predict where they're like, you know what, Algier, you get 18 carries and Bijan, you get 15. Like, that is the only concern I have with Bijan. I think the way that they're using him is fine. You want to see, I mean, honestly, getting 5 targets in this offense, they don't throw the ball to the running backs that much. So him getting those targets is really good. It's all about the split with Algier. It was great today, But this, I mean, I wouldn't be probably trying to sell Bijan if I had him, but I would definitely listen to a trade offer if somebody sent it over. You know what I mean? So like I guess I would, if I had Bijan, which I don't have in any leagues for real, I would probably, I'd probably try to sell him. I'd honestly try to sell him. I'd try to sell like Bijan plus, or not Bijan for like 2 players if I needed it. Or if I would consider packages for Bijan, honestly. I may be on the other side of your deal that you were interested in.
Well, I mean, if that's out there and you want Bijan, I'm saying you should go ahead and acquire him for sure. So I would say, like these trade package players we talking about, go and throw it out there. See if you can acquire Bijan for sure.
Let's go. We're gonna stay positive, man. We gotta talk about this boy right here. Oh man,
do it.
This boy right here. This defense. It was a tough run defense. It was another tough run defense. You saw David Montgomery. He did not have the same type of day. And I just kept thinking, I was like, David Montgomery scores every single week. We got to find a week where he doesn't score. This was the week I predicted he didn't score. That's how it went. And I was like, the way that this team matches up, the Vikings defense is just so fast. They just feel like they're the type of defense who could deal with like a downhill, like big, like thuggish runner. You know what I mean? That's why I picked Jahmyr Gibbs to be a top 5 running back this week. He was number 1 so far in fantasy, 32 points. You guys see the stats on the screen there. He dominated this game. He was a big reason why they won the game late. This guy is a monster. And while, yes, Montgomery came back in the game, his injury looked kind of serious. He was down on the ground for a little bit.
True.
So obviously you get adrenaline, you kind of finish the game, but keep an eye on that because would not be surprising if we see like David Montgomery, like with some DMPs coming into this next week. So keep an eye on that. Jahmyr Gibbs, just outstanding today. Justified the top 5 ranking.
This was his, in my opinion, put some respect on my name game. Because a lot of people were sitting there saying, why do people really talk about Jahmyr Gibbs that much when David Montgomery has the consistency of getting touchdowns? People forgot about the man's electrifying speed. When he has open space, he's one of those players where they say, we want to put this guy in open space because that is where he eats. He does very well. And you saw, off of those catches alone, he's got 44 yards. When he was able to break for those long touchdowns, anybody behind him, you're out of the play. He's got breakaway speed, home run type talent on him. And whenever he can get into an opportunity where his talent like that can flash, the Detroit Lions with all those offensive players should continue to create enough gravity pools so he should be able to find himself in space. Going forward, that's what you anticipate with somebody like Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think that's why he's consistently thought to be expected to have more point output than David Montgomery. Like you said, it's just been a lot of games that flowed in a way where David Montgomery's thuggish, ruggish, running type of style, it just catered to that. That's why the Detroit Lions are where they are, and they're a very big contender this year because they've got so many options and a fantastic running back room altogether.
Yep. I mean, 100%. Gibbs is here to stay. Monty's not going anywhere, guys, but if he's healthy, he'll be fine. Just keep an eye on that injury report. All right. Where we going next, bro?
We going to have to go a little negative. I want to get on my team, of course. We talked about Carolina, this particular receiver, Mr. Deontay Johnson. To his credit, as you see these awful numbers, 2.7 points, 1 of 3 receptions, 17 yards.
Yep.
I would say I don't anticipate this to happen again, but the thing that gives me pause is just because he was on the injury report, and then they say, I think, Friday? Something else happened to Deontay, and they were saying that that's another thing that could be holding him back. This is very – what's up?
But, so it was – because this was funny to me because this is another thing that happened today during our lives. So Deontay Johnson – he had a hamstring and an ankle injury going into the week. He, like you said, got added another thing to the injury report. I think it was a rib issue. Yes. And it was funny, so they listed all 3 of those, but when you see the condensed version on Roto World, I literally was reading. People were giving me so much crap. I was like, he's out of my top 24. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. This guy's so banged up. I don't know what he's gonna do. But I said, bro, they don't even have his injuries listed. They said Deontay Johnson. Usually will say Deontay Johnson knee or Deontay Johnson ankle. It said Deontay Johnson. It literally in text said everything. It said Deontay Johnson, everything. What? I was like, bro, I'm not ranking him in the top 24, man. I don't know if he finishes the game, but my bad. Go ahead, bro.
I gotta respect, and that's what I'm trying to say. I'll put an asterisk on this game. The man wasn't himself, is what I like to say. The Carolina Panthers got blasted out of the frame. Now, that remains, but you could tell that they have a very set script where they want to get the ball to him. Like I mentioned earlier with the Packers receivers, in this wide receiver room, the ball is like that old Hey Arnold cartoon. Give the ball to Tucker. The job here is to get the ball to Deontay Johnson when he's out there running routes. They anticipate getting this man targets. 3 targets today. You could tell that they really were off their game script. So I would anticipate that this not happen again. Everybody knew how Deontay Johnson started the year with Andy Dalton under center. This, I'll say, is just a one-off. You know what I'm saying? I would go ahead and still have the confidence in Deontay Johnson, but I wanted to go ahead and bring this up because this is pretty piss poor. So there you have it.
Yeah, so I want to see what is the schedule. So you guys next play Denver, not terrible. It's all about if Pat Surtain's playing. That is the concern.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you got Saints with Lattimore. Yeah.
Damn.
After that, it's okay. And you got the Giants after that, but then you got the Chiefs with McDuffie.
Ooh.
And then you get the Buccaneers. That's not bad. Then you get the Eagles. Yeah, it's like mixed. He's still going to be the number 1 target, so I agree with you for 100%.
Yeah, you just know he's going to get those targets. So this game, I'll go ahead and say was an aberration.
Yep, it was an aberration, but boy, oh boy, this one here. Whew. Now, I need your help with this one. I saw what happened to Ayuk. And I put bad. It was a bad looking injury. It would not surprise me. I haven't seen any news. If he was done for the year, hopefully he's not, but it was a bad looking injury. Yes. I really was high on Ayuk. This was a big miss on my part, even my rankings, because the way that I was telling people, and I mean, honestly, they lost the game, so they didn't get a chance to do it. I was like, against the Kansas City Chiefs, the way that they play with their linebackers, they don't ask their linebackers to do too much. They basically want their linebackers go forward or drop in pass coverage. We're not trying to have you make decisions because they really rely on their safeties to do like a lot of decision making. And so because of that, we saw Rashid Shaheed get behind these safeties on Monday Night Football. We saw the Bengals receivers get behind these safeties. You can get behind them, and you have to get behind them or else they play kind of flat-footed, and then they just come forward. They make it tough as hell to run. They make it tough as hell for the underneath stuff with Debo and crew. And so I was like, all right, you got to target Ayuk if you're going to win this game. And so he got 6 targets. I see that, but disappointing, suffered in the injury. He could have had probably a better day, but it wasn't. He wasn't looking like he's going to have a 20-point day. This other guy, though, I really don't understand what the hell this is. I do not understand what illness was. That one to me, I literally have no information on that. Can you enlighten me?
That's literally why I opened up by saying it's like we had this apparent illness that I guess was going around the NFL where players are like, I'm sick out of nowhere or whatever. Hopefully it's not C19 or something like that all of a sudden that we're unaware of. But I'm like, I thought because I was going up against Debo in another league. And I was like, is my computer frozen? What the fuck is going on? Like, I don't see anything happening with this man. Then I see him chilling, looking like me on the sofa, sitting there on the sidelines and his paraphernalia. I'm like, so what is up with Debo right now? Which also helped lead to a very putrid performance by Brock Purdy overall with all those interceptions. So him losing his guys had a very negative impact on him. But I couldn't tell you what happened with Debo Samuels. Like, I don't own any Debo Samuel shares, so I wasn't really on top of exactly going on with him. But I certainly did expect to see him playing, and out of nowhere, the man just wasn't playing like you alluded to. So I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
So let's just. I don't know what the man had, right? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him. You never know. People could have untreated sickle cell or something. It could be something crazy. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it could be something really nuts.
True.
But that sucks, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy because that's not on the injury report prior either. And the thing that's kind of annoying is how they be sometimes pissing around with their injury reports. And so that's the type of thing. That's what gives you the thing in the back of your head, like, bro, if we find out Shanahan did some BS again, this team is one of those teams. They're almost itching to get draft picks taken away. I feel like they are playing around with their injury report too much. And again, in fantasy, sure, it doesn't matter, but that's there are people who are making money on the games, betting things of that sort. That has impact, and the NFL cares about stuff like that. Y'all can't just continue to piss around with these injury reports like this, Shanahan. Come on now. This shit is crazy, bro.
I could tell no one knew because in the leagues I'm playing against, these people take it seriously. They had him in their lineup, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I said I'm looking at my screen. I'm like, is my computer stuck? What is going on? Then when I pay more attention to actually looking at that particular game and I saw him on the sideline, I'm like, what is going? What happened? Just like you said, you had no prior information. This team is getting dangerous with the way they're playing around.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned.
You cannot that's in the NFL. There's There's rules for a reason, bro. There's competitive rules for a reason. Like the teams have to be able to prepare for what they believe is going to be on the field. And like
Yes.
that is why they force you to put out these injury reports and these practice reports. It's just there's something fishy going on, bro. And I am not a fan of Shanny with that shit. I'm honestly like I'm over that, bro. If anyone who's watching this had Debo, Ayuk, Richardson, Daniels, throw it in the chat, throw it in the comments of this video. We're gonna keep going with some hits and misses. Where do you want to head next?
I'll go ahead and go to the Browns, Mr. Njoku.
I was about to say which one because
I want to give the Browns some level of positivity today because I feel bad. I made fun of Deshaun Watson last week and how badly he was playing. Unfortunately, it looks like he tore his Achilles in the game, and he might potentially, I'm saying, is probably a season ender right there. Very unfortunate. But I would say going forward, of course, with them trading Amari Cooper, everyone's aware of that. David Njoku, as you can see on the graphic, 23.6 points today, 14 receptions for 76 yards and a touchdown. Their number one receiver is Jerry Jeudy on paper. Yeah. But the actual number one receiver on that team, I feel very confident with David Njoku. And I think we also have a potential person you could pick up on the waiver wire. Jerry Jeudy is not that guy. These guys are pretty much connected. And I think a lot of people may have picked up Jerry Jeudy thinking that they might get an easy WR1 with the trade of Amari Cooper. Jerry Jeudy, I'm probably going to go on a limb and say is not that good. So I would feel much more confident with David Njoku. There's 5 targets for a man. He caught one of them, and that's 2.8 points. I looked at Jerry Jeudy. I don't think he's crossed over double-digit points for this season. So if you have Jerry Jeudy, he's another bonus sandwich type addition to a trade package because you don't want him on your team. Add
You're
him
not
for
trading
anything.
him.
Trade him to the waiver wire. Trade him for something like that. I mean, you don't want no Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy shares need to be sold. Take the loss. The paper loss needs to be converted for a full L. He is not that guy.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy. You saw Tillman, who's a waiver, definitely somebody to consider on the waiver wire, give you 18 points. And Njoku played well. It looks like we're likely going to get Jameis next week. That was a very unfortunate injury. I mean, I never seen a more graphic like a Achilles clear tear. Like that shit popped. Everyone saw that.
Yeah,
and you could tell like that was terrible, bro. And I will say, this is gonna sound crazy. I mean, he got his money. I know there's a lot of stuff going on off the field with him, but I think we're kind of done with this now. Like, let's just kind of summarize Deshaun Watson. I think his NFL career should likely be over. He should just kind of go off into the sunset and just kind of like bow out, just be silent in life and just go enjoy your money that you made because you made a lot. And really, like, everyone will kind of forget about all this stuff. But his tenure with the Browns has been a complete and utter disaster. You feel terrible for him for tearing his Achilles, but I know there's a lot of people who don't feel terrible for him because of all this other stuff too. So I'm going to leave all that to the side. Now back to the football part. Yes, Jerry Jeudy is some ass. You got to cut him. Just cut him. You got to cut that guy. Cedric Tillman, very interesting waiver wire pickup. And in Njoku, like you said, 14 targets is crazy. Jameis Winston he's the type of quarterback where kind of like Joe Flacco last year. I don't think we're going to get the Joe Flacco effect with the Browns, but in the Joe Flacco sense that he's going to just chuck it and let you like see what happens. I'm going to just throw it up. You 85, you're over there. See what happens. Let's go. Like that's the thing you like about him. That's the thing you may like about Tillman now. I think that there's some interesting options here for a team who may have honestly a little mini resurgence, like almost like a poor man's version of what happened last year with Flacco.
Yeah. You know, they got Nick Chubb. They came back. They warmed him up in there. So he's going to get a little bit more touches going forward. I think he only ran a handful of times today, but even got his touchdown. So Nick Chubb looked pretty good out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure that wasn't maybe the best he has, but he got it done. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Nick Chubb was solid. I mean, he scored. I've been talking about my touchdown parlays all day. I had Cooper, Chubb, and I need Devontae Adams to score in this late game. Guys, was like all the welcome back people, we're going to get them touchdowns. These stats weren't amazing for these guys today, but it just showed you like they're involved. They're going to make sure that these guys get involved. Nick Chubb is only going to continue to get better and better every week, but I do think we're going to be in for some pretty lean stat line weeks, probably over the next 2 or 3 as he gets kind of healthy because he's still nowhere near the Nick Chubb of old right now. But they're going to involve him at goal line because this is the only option they got. And hopefully Jameis can open things up for this offense. Now, Amari Cooper, he wasn't super involved, and then he got pretty involved late. And he's Amari Cooper. He's not coming off an injury. He just got traded, so he's learning a playbook. And so, yeah, he looks pretty good. I do like what Coleman did. Coleman went crazy for over 125 yards, but I think Cooper is the clear one. He's the clear guy who can hit his marks and win a route. And we're only going to see Cooper continue and improve, and hopefully this expands Josh Allen's passing game, which has kind of been a little like subpar this year.
Totally agree.
Yeah. All right, I think we're kind of close to the end here. I just want to touch on just the complete garbage that was the Houston Texans offense.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this team here, boy. Wow, man. Like, I want like CJ Stroud sucks right now. Like, he sucks, bro. In fantasy. Calm down. You see, I'm biased. I don't like him generally speaking because of the Colts thing, but in fantasy, he sucks ass right now. He's not great, and he's also, even in his good games, hasn't been great. The thing that I've noticed, the biggest issue I've noticed with CJ Stroud, this guy.
Oh, yeah.
This guy is consuming their offense. And, I mean, it's working. Like, they could have won the game today easily on his back. Like, when this guy is on the field, CJ Stroud has been awful. I'd like to run literally, like, I want to understand what CJ Stroud's stat lines are in fantasy when Joe Mixon has played well, because I think they're actually just god awful. Now, especially with no Nico Collins for the next 2 weeks, like, it's like I can't recommend continuing to start CJ Stroud unless the matchup is perfect. Like, I'm still going to likely start like a Geno over him. I'm going to be starting like, I'll give Kirk Cousins another shot. Like, I'm not saying like CJ Stroud's a must sit, but he is definitely not like CJ Stroud, definitely top 10. He's outside of that guaranteed top 10 range. Like, he was outside of my top 10 today, and that was for a good reason, but he clearly shouldn't even have been in my top 12 or top 15. Like, he was trash. Let's just bring it up for people to see. He was trash. His receivers were trash. Like, Stephon Diggs, I ranked him relatively highly, and I kept telling myself, I'm ranking Stephon Diggs highly because he is the number one target on this offense. But I also looked at his go to playerprofile.com. These stats are readily available for anyone. Go to Stephon Diggs. You'll see the Green Bay Packers play some of the top amount of man coverage in the NFL. Stephon Diggs this year has been complete dog shit against man coverage. He's been awful. Like, awful. He has been, I think, the number 64th receiver in the NFL from a man coverage win rate. Versus zone, he's top 20. Versus man, completely horrendous. But since he was the number one target, I was like, I still got to throw him in my top 12, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
The Tank Dell thing. Yeah, it is what it is, but the Tank Dell thing was not a mistake. I said, don't start Tank Dell. So I'm glad I at least won that one. But
I definitely did a double take when I saw the CJ Stroud numbers. I'm like, what is going on? The man is struggling big time. This was easily his worst game of the season so far. Easy.
It could have been this may have been the worst game fantasy-wise of his career, potentially. You almost you get him confused with this guy. Like, you think that you're like, which guy am I looking at in the AFC South? Is it Richardson or is it CJ Stroud? Like, what's up? All right, man. We got to head out of here. Give me the prediction, because we still got 3 games left, which is super exciting. It's about to kick off the night game. Pittsburgh, the Jets, I believe, at Pittsburgh. Who you picking for this game as well as the games of the next 2 games on Monday night?
I'm going to go with the Jets tonight just because of the new addition of Devontae Adams. I think that team just has so many weapons. Like, literally, the Jets have no excuse. They're getting Hassan Reddick back on defense. Yep. They've got Devontae Adams. You've got Wilson. You've got Big Brees like a Breitling in the backfield. You've got a great replacement running back behind him in Braylon Allen. You have a very accurate quarterback. You've got chemistry with Devontae Adams. I think in the show with Pat McAfee, he's sitting in the man's living room and was in the background in his crib. I'm like, yo, what the world is going on? These dudes, they better do some work tonight. That's all I'm saying. It better go down, and the Jets better make a statement tonight. They are putting a lot on it this season to go ahead and pay for all these players. I really do think that they're going to win it. Going forward for the games, Monday? Monday got 2 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday, the Buccaneers versus the Ravens. Whoa, that's a good game. I know the Baltimore could control the game with the running. I'm going to go Baltimore.
Okay.
Baltimore, I got to go there. I think they know what they need to stop from the Buccaneers from their perspective. The Buccaneers run game, they're saying they got a three-headed monster. That tells me you don't really have any confidence for who you really want to give the rock to. So if they can go ahead and maybe funnel them into just trying to make the two pass catchers work for them, they get their safeties prepared for that, and they dominate on offense to make them one-dimensional, I think Baltimore can come out with this game. Plus, you got Lamar Jackson who can do MVP type things. The guy's a stud. The other game, let me see here, looking at my schedule. We got Chargers versus the Cardinals. Damn, that's another one. Okay.
It's a hard one. That's a hard one.
I actually think the Cardinals really do need to bounce back. Cardinals, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back off the concussion. They've got Trey McBride. They've got Connor. I think offensively, the Cardinals can put up a lot of points. And I think with the Chargers leaning on the run so much, if they force their hand and try to put the ball in the air, I think that they'll be out of their element, if you say. Like you mentioned before, Lad McConkey, is this going to be a breakout game for him if necessary because they're going to put the ball in the air so much? Is Josh Palmer, is there going to be a Joshua Palmer sighting? I don't lean on it, but I don't think he'll really be able to come through. So I'm going to lean on the Cardinals. So I'm saying Ravens and Cardinals. We've been pretty good with these predictions so far. So those are mine for these upcoming games.
Yeah. Mine, I agree with you on the Jets. I think the Jets, they got to win this game. Even though Russell Wilson's coming back, I do think this is going to be good for Pickens. I'll be interested to see if Sauce Gardner finally travels with the number one receiver, which he didn't do with Robert Saleh. But with all the changes, who knows? Because the Jets are missing 3 defensive backs. They're missing a safety. I think they may be missing Reed on the outside. And they may be missing their nickel corner. I haven't checked the injury report, but they're at least not healthy. And so I got the Jets. I'm also taking the Cardinals. This is one of those games where I like J.K. Dobbins. I think that he's going to have a good game. And I also think Connor, he may not be super efficient, but this is just one of those games where, like, their defense plays well for no reason. Connor plays well. Marvin Harrison Jr. hits some big stuff, and it's a home game for them. I just feel like they could take this game. And if they get out to a lead, the Chargers are not, like you said, they're not a chase team. And then you look at the Baltimore Buccaneers game. This is another one where I just feel like the Buccaneers will win, but there's no reason why the Ravens couldn't win the game. I have Lamar Jackson as my number one quarterback on the week. Baker Mayfield's my top 5 quarterback. So I think this is going to clearly be a good game. Both defenses, from a passing standpoint, can't stop a cold right now. Chris Godwin, this matchup, like, this is one of the worst teams in the NFL defending a slot receiver, and they give up like a ton of explosive plays to the slot receiver. So if you're looking at like Godwin props for receptions, yards, touchdown, I have a couple parlays with all of that. I think that both Derrick Henry can score. I think Bucky Irving potentially could score if anyone scores there. I think J.K. Dobbins scores. I like a lot of the plays in these late games. So I'm going to be going Jets, Cardinals, Buccaneers. We'll see how that does, but appreciate everyone stopping in tonight. This was a great show. We got in a ton. I mean, we talked about everything, I think, today. Fantastic show. Eric, anything you want to leave the people with?
Continue to have fun. Let's hope that these stupid illnesses that took players out and we didn't know about it doesn't happen again. It pissed me off, so I know it got everybody else upset too. But, let's stay on the bright side and look forward to some more fun fantasy football. 3 games left. Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. Make sure you give us a follow on these I cannot speak. Give us a follow on TikTok. Give Player Profiler a follow on YouTube. If you're watching the video right now, the least you could do is like the video. Please. If you like the content, like the video. If you don't like it, you don't have to like the video. I'm not going to beg you. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Have a goodie.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.